One, two, testing. Yeah. All right. The sound is back. Sorry about that, guys. So, well, as I was saying, well, good evening to everybody. It's our first live stream of the year. And, well, for those reasons, we want to wish you all a happy new year.
Yes,
To
absolutely.
all, a lot of health and wealth. And once you have both, you can live a happy life. So,
Stumbled out
did
of
you
the
enjoy your
gate
holiday?
there. Yeah, I guess a little bit too much. I forgot how to work all this audio and stuff, and just want to make sure that mine is working here. All right, there we
Yeah,
go.
we took too long
Everything's
of a break.
working. Okay, so yeah, took a break. I cleaned up this whole thing and around here for the stream. I almost didn't even have my background as usual because just getting the motor going again. I think we discussed how I was getting a little bit anxious trying to catch up on everything and getting everything back together and watching those episodes to be able to have some input this week. But all is said and done now, and we're ready to
Yeah.
go. So
I'm
what's
just
been
glad
new with you?
we wished everybody happy holidays on our live stream because if you remember, we were not sure if we want to make another one before
Yeah.
the holidays, and it didn't turn out that we were able because my house was like a battlefield, literally, because we did all the flooring in my house, so we removed all the carpets, and we had some wooden floors installed, and it took about almost 2 complete weeks. So my dad had to remove the old stuff first, and then the contractor came in and installed all the wooden floors. But we find out that it would have been leveled with the kitchen ceramic, and with my wheelchair, everything has to be leveled to avoid any bumps.
Oh yeah.
So
Hmm.
we had to put some more plywood sheets to make things perfect. So
Yeah.
everything is done. We've painted my office a light gray. So, and I gotta show you this, guys. Okay, Google, turn on the lights.
Oh yeah.
Ta-da!
Yeah.
So I got some brand new LED lights to improve my little decor background. So it's pretty cool. Everything looks pretty sweet now. So I'm really enjoying my new setup, and yeah, it's pretty nice. So
I gotta
so
get
we
something
were,
going like that. So
as you might be able to imagine, I was we were the whole family was gassed, and the holiday hadn't even begun. So
yeah.
uh, we finished our Christmas tree on December 24th, just to give you an idea of how things went down before the holidays. So we finished like around 11:30 p.m. midnight, and well, we looked at the clock and we said, "Well, hey, Merry Christmas!"
Yeah.
And we unwrapped the gifts, and I got two pretty cool ones. Those are the Gentle Giant Legend and Three Dimension series half scale bust. So those two are the two San Diego Comic Con exclusives. So the Mandalorian hologram version is from 2021, and the Stormtrooper officer is from 2022. So I was pretty happy to get those as a Christmas gift. I wasn't expecting them at all, so it's pretty nice. I got a pretty nice gift, and my dear friend and co-host sent me a gift through the mail. Um, and well, why don't you explain everybody what it is and how it works and
So it's
where it's
not
available if it's not
not sure
available?
what the I guess the technical term would be for that. I mean, it's a tablet, obviously, and it's something that's offered. Unfortunately, it's only offered through the for 501st Legion members. It's Assassin's Graphics. He makes like name tags and all this stuff, and unfortunately, you have to like have your TK number, but. I spoke to him and he said that it was available to make gifts because there's nothing that really identifies the 501st Legion on there. I have one myself, which is basically a scout trooper and has my TB number on it. But this it's written Lord Doom on top in what do you call that that language or that
Or a mesh?
so we had that written on there, and then also I had two different colors, and I let Don pick which one he wanted, and he went with the red. So you actually light it up, and you can, whether you're cosplaying or just as a decoration, it looks really cool. There's no on and off switch, so it's a bit of a pain. You have to like there's just a little battery that's in there, and then you got to take it out. But I think it just even without the light, it still looks pretty cool. So it looks even better in
Yeah, it
hand.
does.
So
Yeah, I put I like it comes in a little pouch. So to take the picture, I put the black pouch behind it, and yeah,
yeah,
it came out pretty good.
it's pretty well. They give you a
And
pouch. They give you
my
like
good
a
friend,
cleaner and all, like a little rag and everything to clean it and all that stuff. Like it's
yeah,
yeah, it's just anyway. The guy he does a good job. Everything he does that I've seen so far is it always looks awesome. So
yeah, it looks real. I know it looks like a prop. I could see I don't know maybe Deidre used in
yeah,
season 2 of Endor.
yeah. So they have different graphics. You can have like
It
an
looks pretty good, and
AT-AT, you had the Death Star, Scout Trooper, a bunch of different things. So those the one that I chose I thought would look good. So
yeah,
uh, obviously I had to
you
take
made the right
some.
choice
Yeah,
for the image. Yeah.
and then
And
also
I didn't tell you before we began, but I commissioned my good friend Ryan, who does my lightsaber stands, and I asked him to, you know, make something to hold it straight, and
yeah,
he's supposed to get back to me in a couple of days. So
huh.
I'm going to take a good gift and make it look even better.
Well, let me know because I might actually need one myself then. So,
Yeah,
uh,
yeah, okay. Well,
yeah,
I'll
to
tell him
display mine.
to if it works, I'll tell him to put yeah.
Okay. On my end, I mean, I had a good Christmas. Kids were spoiled as usual. I don't really get stuff anymore, and especially like my wife and I, we don't really give each other gifts. We just basically say, well, why am I gonna spend $100 on you and $100 on me? Like we just, we always end up giving each other something by surprise anyway, but it's never anything big, and especially again, like I said,
Mhm.
with as some of you know, I'm going to Disney in a few weeks, so we're just trying to be a little bit more careful with the
Oh.
expenses, but we still spoil the kids as usual. So, um, and then on my end, I had also an event. It's with the Starlight Foundation um, and Sun Youth. It's an event that a guy. His name is Ross. His dad started this. Is Herb's Secret Santa. It's basically he raises money, and then basically he gives all like hundreds of kids these gift cards to walk into Toys R Us after hours, so they have the store all to themselves. They have gift cards, and they
Wow.
just buy whatever they want with their gift cards. So he usually has like some superheroes there, and he usually invites us to come as well. Always gives a very touching speech, and that's us over here. We had a member
Mm,
from the Capital City
sweet.
Garrison as Boba Fett, Sean Miller. He's actually an artist. I've got some of his work. I don't know if you're familiar. He's been at the Comic Cons. I know he does incredible work. I should have posted some of this stuff, but he was there as Boba Fett as one of his. He's trooped a couple times, but it was one of his. It was his first one here with us, and we had a pretty decent turnout for our garrison, obviously. And I was there right before we even opened the doors. There's like tons of people waiting to get in. It's like they're trying to get into like an event, right? But like
Wow.
obviously underprivileged in some cases. Um, some disabled children, whether
Well,
they're
it's like the Boxing Day before Christmas,
yeah, exactly, and you see all
right?
sorts of kids. It's something. It's heartbreaking. I mean, I remember the last time I'd been there, that two kids from the previous event had passed away. That there, it was really heartwarming,
Ah,
and it's very sad, and it's just. So I was there, kind of throwing stuff that Ross came to me. He's like, "Throw these into the crowd." I'm like, "I know I'm gonna hit somebody in the face with it," but it was like these squishy things that even if it did hit someone, it wouldn't hurt so bad. But like, and it's not. I mean, it looks like
okay,
nothing, but it's not easy to like. I've got a leather glove. My visibility is still pretty good in that helmet, but it was still a little tough to throw and aim. So yeah, here's another picture, and like I try not to show any of the kids' faces just out of respect, but like yeah, in this case it was no problem giving a fist pump to a stormtrooper and Captain Rex over here at Darth Vader, and we had the Tie Fighter pilot from First Order pilot we had, and anyway, just a great
yeah,
time.
and
So
kids must be so amazed to see, you know, the characters in real life. I mean,
the the kids walk in like they're like some of them, whether they be scared or whatnot, they're still amazed, but the parents as well is always what surprises me. Like they're living through that nostalgia of seeing the characters, and I guess they appreciate it a little bit more than the kids. Just like, oh, what's this, right? Like especially now Star Wars has been a little dead in the last couple of years, right? No
mhm,
big releases in theaters, and unless you take the time to go watch the series, and like Andor obviously was a bit more of a mature series and whatnot, but I mean, they know the typical, based on how their parents or what they're showing them, the stormtroopers and Darth Vader and all that stuff. But I mean, even then, like, a lot of Marvel characters were there, and there was even a She-Hulk, which was surprising.
oh,
But yeah, um, and that obviously she's popular now with her series and stuff like that. So
mhm.
yeah, always interesting to do that event. It's one of the nicer events that's offered every year for us to go to, and yeah, so I mean, can't complain when you get to give back, So, but without any further ado, should we get into the presentation of the first episodes here?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Season premiere of the Bad Batch. I'm pretty glad that the batch is back, and I got my Bad Batch T-shirt on today to be ready for the premiere of the
He's got
show.
a stormtrooper shirt. I didn't go Bad Batch, but my kid was
So
actually really into it. We were trying to watch it together. It didn't end up happening. I ended up having to binge them. I think, like I told you yesterday night,
yeah,
to finish season one. I was trying to watch it with him and try to be loyal to her, like, but it just wasn't happening. And so I binged and watched the last of season one and started season two yesterday and finished it today. So trying to
well,
catch up.
perhaps when he watches it, perhaps you'll be able to watch it with him and enjoy it more than the way you had to watch it
Yeah, yeah.
yesterday.
It's tough coordinating. I mean,
Shoving it.
he's into games and stuff like that. He's 9 years old and he wants to do his own things, I guess, a little bit. So,
Yeah,
yeah. Anyway, it is what it is. But he still likes Star Wars, so I guess it's a plus.
yeah, for sure.
So,
So,
first
as we were
episode.
saying, the match is back. So the crew, I mean, D. Bradley Baker is back, making the voice for all the members of the Bad Batch and all the clones. That guy is amazing. The way he changes his voice. I mean,
Yeah, the subtle
all,
changes to make such a difference between each character
yeah.
is incredible. And I don't even know how you would remember, the different tones and stuff like that. But I mean, they're professional, right? So,
Oh yeah, and he does it like I saw a video on YouTube and he did all the Bad Batch like in 35 seconds. It was really really impressive, and he also I think he even had the Captain Rex. So yeah, it was pretty special to see. But yeah, the guy is simply amazing.
Yeah.
Michelle Ang is back as Omega. Rhea Perlman as Sid. Do you know who Rhea Perlman is?
Yeah, from
She used
Cheers.
to play for in Cheers. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
it.
yeah. Actually, what I didn't know
Uh,
that until I looked at the name that was there. So, yeah, I didn't know. I didn't realize it was her. Oh, Nico
yeah.
Crank. Hello there.
All right, General Kenobi.
Uh,
Hey, hello to Max and James. Also, were there when who
yes.
wished us Happy New Year. So Happy New Year to you guys as well, my friends. Who else? Nashir Dalal is back as Rampart, and we get a new recruit, Wanda Sykes, who
Yeah.
is voicing Free, the latest character
Yeah.
in the series, with a little pirate. I don't know if it's a female pendant of Ando Wanaka. We'll get to see that in the upcoming episodes because I'm sure that we didn't see the last
Yeah. I'm sure she'll be a
of that
reoccurring
character. We're
character.
gonna
Yeah.
see her, yeah, a few more times before the season wraps up. So it's gonna be pretty interesting to see where they're gonna take her character
And
and
anyone who's
what
familiar
will
with
be her
Wanda
story arc.
Sykes
But
definitely like recognized her voice immediately. I mean, she's got
oh yeah,
such a unique voice, and from all the comedy and shows she's ever been in. So I actually remember her a lot from
and I
Crank
even thought
Yankers.
the character, yeah, true. And I even thought that the character looked a little bit like Wanda as well. So
Yeah. So just before I continue, Omega's voice kind of gets on my nerves, but it's just I don't know. There's something about it that's just. But you know what? And this is what I wanted before we started. I'm glad I remembered right before. What's the timeline? Do you know how much time was between season one, season finale, and this one?
well, the official document says several months
Several months,
after the event.
because
There's no, yeah, and
Omega
they
looks like
always stay
she's
a little bit
matured a bit,
blur
though,
with
right?
the. Yeah, true.
Yeah,
To me, I think it's safe to say 10 months, almost a year, I
yeah.
guess.
She definitely looks different. She's
So
got a little
yeah,
bit of
she
that
looks more mature.
evolution, like kind of like reminding me of Ahsoka or even Ezra. Like from the previous animated series where you saw that like if
Hmm.
you in hindsight, if you go back, you could see that they've been getting older, and then you realize in the last scene, you're like, man, this guy's really changed. If you go back and watch the season one, you'll be like, this guy looks completely different now, right? But you just it's subtle, but you could see it. I
Totally
mean, her hair is a little bit longer or whatnot, but I don't know.
true.
I noticed that there was a bit of a change. I was trying to figure out what the timeline would have been, but yeah, I guess in 10 months, her hair can only grow so much. So, but yeah, so spoils of war. So the first episode, we have Echo, Wrecker, and Hunter fleeing large crab creatures along a beach after securing an unknown package on a tropical island. And the first thing that jumped out to me, I don't know if it's the same for you, is just how colorful and vibrant this
Hmm.
season is
Yeah,
compared to the gray tones and the very musky kind of like I don't want to say depressing, but like very kind of like basic tones of the first season. And it goes as far as even what the characters look like, right? Like they're everything's changed. Like and again,
yeah.
it looks like
W-
um, I don't know. It just looks like a
Well, we're not
complete
on
different
Camino
season.
anymore, right?
Yeah, well, exactly. Yeah. So it just,
Yeah,
but so vibrant the colors. So anyway, I digress a bit, but so anyway,
yeah,
there.
and the group start already in trouble, right? So
Yeah, exactly.
it's a little bit reminiscent of how episode four, New Hope begins. We're right in we jump right into an action scene.
Yeah. So
So I
Echo
thought it was pretty
berates
cool.
Wrecker that they went over the plan 5 times, and while Wrecker retorts that the package was secured regardless. But you could already see there that the colors on even the Bad Batch, they've kind of like spruced up their armors, which is a little weird when you're trying to think that you're trying to say it, a little bit low key, but like Uh, I'm all for it. I mean, just those three slides that I put so far already add so much more color, and it goes throughout the rest of the series as well, like the rest of what
Yeah.
we've seen so far. Meanwhile, aboard the Marauder, Omega takes a study break to text disapproval, and then she tries to learn every ship in the Imperial fleet. And as she's about to continue, Hunter calls, and the ship and Tech and Omega prepare to give the others a pickup, but are assaulted by the same creatures that are attacking Hunter. And we have Omega here taking shots and clearing the ship from the crab creatures, as you can see here. It doesn't, no lack of action, obviously, in the right off the bat in this episode one. So she shoots him off the hull with her energy bow, and using the shell
Yeah.
of another, jumps on the back onto the line. And as Tech flies into view of the three that are running, and then they are pulled up and finally get hoisted into the ship with their cargo. So again, the colors are just like even the beasts, like the crabs or whatnot, and you could see
Yeah.
again the colors on the characters here are just a lot more vibrant. So and for me, I mean, I had just watched season one, right, like the ending of it, and it was just so dark
Oh,
and
so the
gloomy,
contrast
right?
must have
So yeah,
been,
it
yeah,
blew up,
more
right? So
visible. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, because the final episodes of season one, it's all gray and black, and they're under the water, and Camino's,
yeah, on Camino.
Tipoca City is being destroyed. So yeah, I get what you say. It's pretty refreshing.
But even then,
Sorry.
like the characters themselves are very dark in color as well, like all the black and subtle reds, I think, and grays and stuff. But like they were just, I
Yeah.
mean, I have the figurines. My son has them, the Black Series version, and they're just, it's almost hard to tell them apart, So
Okay. Well, I get the feeling that they're gonna individualize a little bit more as the season goes on because we saw some images in the trailers, and it gets even easier to tell as the show evolves
yeah,
who's who. So I think they're gonna tweak their armor even more by the end of the season. So they arrive back at Sid's parlor, which is on Ord Mantell, and they're greeted by AZ, the droid they saved at the end of season one, who was working in the labs of Tipoca City. And Sid introduces the batch to a pirate named Fee, as we can see on the screen, who finds the batch's genetic mutations to be strange but interesting. I even thought she was flirting at some point
yeah,
with Tech, but
yeah, with Tech, yeah, with
hey,
brown
when she
eyes,
said, "Hey, brown eyes," yeah,
yeah,
I was like, okay. Sid offers the batch a job involving the planet Sereno to steal one of Count Dooku's war chests from his ruined castle. Hunter turns down Sid's offer, but Wrecker, Echo, and Tech decide they want to follow through with the mission. Hunter expresses his concerns that Sereno is occupied by the Empire, but Sid counters that just one of those war chests, could give the batch a future free from her, so they could buy their freedom with that heist. Uh, After taking a look at Omega, well, Hunter agrees. So obviously, he wants a better future for Omega. So he decides to go along.
and then on the Marauder, Echo expresses his desire to fight instead of just hiding and proposes the war chest as a means to this end. And he notes that the others need their he notes that others need their help and wants to do more. And Hunter doesn't immediately address Echo's concern, but clearly is thinking about his words. And the Marauder lands on Sereno, and the batch beholds the bombed out city, the result of the Imperial orbital bombardment. But you know what? Like, I was actually kind of shocked at what it looked like for some reason. I was expecting to. I don't know what I had in mind, but I didn't expect to look again that vibrant. Maybe again I was still stuck in the season one, but even the colors on that planet look great, and whether it be the crates that we ended up seeing, the containers. So the squad eventually reaches the Imperial shipyard where the clone troopers were carrying out the extraction of Dooku's loot in a large cargo containers, and you can see that here. Even like, again, the colors look nice. You have like all this like this green life and growing, but
Yeah,
so maybe you can tell me, is this all of his or what?
yeah, it was.
Because I was like, geez, I'm like,
So
I know that it's like going after Dooku's war chest, but like this is crazy. Like,
yeah, yeah,
what?
the guy was filthy rich.
The
I
guy, the
mean,
guy should have run an episode of Hoarders, like with all that stuff. It was
yeah,
pretty
there
crazy.
are like what, three cargo ships, and they have
Yeah,
like maybe I don't know, maybe 100 containers
yeah,
each. I'm
it
not
was
sure.
insane. It was insane.
So and by the way, those container ships, we saw some of them in previous series. I remember for sure we saw one in Rebels. In the episode that Chopper wanted to purchase a new leg that was matching one of his other two, and he ends up running away from the Empire and getting stuck inside one of those cargo ships. So I was like, ah, cool. We're starting to see, it's starting to connect. The two,
Yeah.
the Clone Wars and Rebels are connecting thanks
Well, that Chopper, right?
to
Like
that
that was
series.
there as well in the previous, which I just saw. Obviously, Chopper, and I thought he looked fairly like he was in fairly good condition compared to how I remembered him in Rebels. So
Yeah, Chopper and Era we saw in season
yeah,
one, so that was pretty sweet. And well, so yeah, to answer your question, Dooku was filthy rich, and
yeah,
we're gonna talk about how he got rich.
yeah,
Also, he inherited some from his family, but we'll talk about that a little
yeah.
bit later.
He was
So I'll let you go on.
a busy guy in the meantime that we didn't know.
Yeah,
So, which is a little bit weird considering that that's not the impression I got from watching the other series. But anyway. So Hunter splits up with Tech, Echo, Wrecker, and Omega to provide a diversion if needed, as the other four make their way to stealing anything they can from the containers. And here we see our little friend Wilco. Uh, and then right here, yeah, Wrecker stuns. So this is something I hadn't really noticed, but they're always stunning the clones, right? They're never really killing any of them. And I guess it's something that I picked up on
yeah,
in the previous season. I guess that they don't want to kill any of their own, but like every time, no one's ever dying. It's just stunning them and like so. Anyway, something I hadn't really noticed until I started binging the rest of the season yesterday. So yeah, Wrecker stuns a
yeah.
passing.
They're being shot with
Yeah,
they're being shot with live ammunition, but they they shoot back with
yeah,
their
exactly.
guns on stunt mode.
I
So
guess understanding me, it's not really their fault, and so it's the chip at times, and
yeah,
so yeah, he stuns a passing clone trooper, much to the frustration of others who know that his absence it will not go unnoticed. The four search for items of high value, and Omega finds a chest full of credits that then they decide to take first. So maybe you can explain the difference, but like what we see here between the two. Um, I saw this chest,
yeah.
and I'm
So
like,
those one they're more like rectangle one.
yeah,
Those are Republic credits.
with a mix of
And
the
inside
regular.
that one,
Yeah.
I think there are still some of the credits, but there are also some precious stones and gems and
Okay.
stuff like that. So it reminded me a little bit of my Camtono, which I'll show you guys later once we're done with the breakdown. But yeah, it's pretty cool to see stuff like that.
Okay.
So with his suspicions alerted, the clone troopers captain, named Wilco, orders his troopers to find the incapacitated clone named, well, not named, but CT-8801. So we can see that they're not giving names to the troopers anymore. They're leaving away the individualization of the troopers, and they're going back with the old CT number,
Yeah.
uh, which is very Empire. So, but Hunter detonates explosives and escort shuttle and distracts them. So this allows Wrecker to grab the credit-filled chest and run back to Hunter. But the container door closes before everyone else can escape. Um, Wrecker and Hunter engage in a firefight with clone troopers as they try to scale the container and get to Tech, Echo, and Omega. When the two slip off the container, they decide to go back to the Marauder and recover the others. Tech decides that they will try and commandeer an escape pod, and the trio make their way to the ship while fighting through its clone troopers crew. Wrecker and Hunter make their way into Dooku's office, but are cornered by clones at Dooku's desk. So that was pretty cool to see Dooku's office once again. We saw it quite a few times in the Clone Wars animated series, but it was neat to see, being abandoned and the window behind, broken up,
Yeah.
and even his office chair or his throne, I don't know what I want to call that, is still remaining. So that was pretty interesting. And it was fun to see that he had escape elevator
Yeah.
right below his office chair. So that
Uh,
was neat.
then Captain Wilco orders the escape pods to be released to prevent the rogue clones from escaping in them. It was pretty clever. Omega comes up with the idea of escaping the ship in a cargo vessel, since they have re-entry thrusters, and they make a run for it before the ship leaves the atmosphere. Hunter discovers, um,
So her studies pay off, right? Pay off.
yeah,
She was studying all sorts of ship, at the beginning of the episode. So we see that, sometimes when you study, it could come in
yeah,
handy at some
exactly.
point.
Well, I mean, and we saw that towards the end of the season as well. And even more so now, I think in the you mentioned earlier, she's more part of the Bad Batch now. She's like more of a member rather than just like
Yeah.
someone that they're. I guess they are still taking care of her,
The
but
kid who
she's
puts itself in trouble.
yeah.
Yeah.
Hunter discovers a lift panel behind Dooku's controls. I don't have a pic of that, unfortunately, but the lift is jammed, and the reason I remember I couldn't get a picture is because he just kind of stomps on it, then all the smoke goes up, and then it's gone. So it's
Yeah.
very quick. I had to. It wasn't an easy one to get. A lot of these shots I get lucky on where I stop it, and then some of them sometimes it's just a little more difficult. Um, and then Tech, Echo, and Omega make it to the cargo container, release the cargo, and begin to fall back towards the planet's surface. And that's where it ended on that one. So
Yeah. So it gets pretty obvious why they decided to make a two episode season premiere, because it's like one big story which you know makes makes it complete. So
I guess the other option is to make a
well,
45-minute
still,
premiere, right? Which they I guess they wanted to avoid, and so
yeah. Well, that's what they did for season one. It was, I think, it was an hour and something
okay.
for the first episode, but it works out pretty fine that way too. So
Let's put an image of Omega, and you can see
so
here that
still in
she's
three.
clearly more mature, right? She's got a more mature young lady
Yeah,
look, which is
absolutely.
weird because, like, it's again, if you're saying it's 10 months older than 10 months later, there is a significant look I find, or difference even in her face. She doesn't look like that little round face kid anymore, right? So, um, I guess the
Yeah,
hair
she
makes
looks like
sense,
a
but
young
like,
teenager.
yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't know if it's the eyes, if there's like some kind of eyeliner or what. Like, I mean, I don't think it's eyeliner, but like, there's just something that I noticed right away. And again, fresh off of season one, when I
Hmm.
saw her, I'm like, whoa! Like, you're really seeing the difference in her. I guess her development. She's growing up a little bit, right? So, and again, anyone who's seen Clone
Yeah, they're making a
Wars,
statement that
yeah. Well, I guess they got to accelerate. I mean,
yeah. Go
I
ahead.
don't know how many seasons they're planning on Bad Batch, or I don't know if you have any idea. But if it's like a three,
Yeah.
4 season thing, then yeah, she'll probably be a young lady, or maybe they'll put some time gap between a couple of the later seasons. But and who knows what's going to be her fate, right? Are we going to know what's going to happen with her at the end? There's no sign of her
Yeah.
in anything
I have
after, right?
I have my own theory on that, but maybe I'll share it with you guys at the end of the end of that season.
Okay.
Maybe we'll see.
So episode
So
two.
yeah, Runes of War. It has a runtime of 28 minutes, but without the credits, it's more like 25 minutes. So, still in free fall, Omega, Tech, and Echo are thrown around the cargo container until its re-entry thrusters fire. Wrecker and Hunter, meanwhile, prepare to sneak through the city back to the Marauder. The three in the cargo container skid to a landing on the edge of a crumbling cliff. Yeah, that's it. So,
Very cliche. I find this always
as you
happens
prepare,
in every series.
yeah,
Like something skids always on the edge of a cliff,
there's
right?
always
So
a cliff, right?
yeah,
Yeah. As you prepare to exit the container, uh, the container begins to shift off the cliff, and Tech's leg is broken under a falling container. Some troopers, under the command of Captain Wilco, begin searching for all members of the Bad Batch, monitoring com channel. Sorry. So that's the only part or portion that ticks me a little bit. The guy says he has a broken femur and he still can walk on his
yeah.
leg.
Well, fractured
So
maybe. I don't know. I mean, it's obviously not.
maybe an airline fracture,
Yeah.
maybe something not as bad as
And at the end, also the
broken.
very, very last scene, we see him kind of like running onto the ship. I mean, I'm jumping ahead, but I was kind of paying attention to that, and you see him kind of run on the ship. I'm like, come on. I'm like, but you know what? They're clones. They grew up fast. Maybe they heal fast. I don't know. Just
Yeah, maybe they have some sort of Wolverine DNA inside
yeah.
them, and they
It's
heal faster than
yeah. Who knows? I don't know.
I don't know, but
It is what it is. We're
and
nitpicking.
especially when he's fighting another clone near the end of the episode, I don't know.
Eh,
So
it is what it
that's
is.
not a
So
major
yeah.
problem,
Uh,
but it ticks me a little bit.
Hunter and Wrecker scout out the city, and Hunter sends a coded message over comms telling the others to follow Plan 00 and go radio silent. As Tech, Echo, and Omega receive the message, Omega notices that they're being followed. The man, Romar, is suspicious and denies shelter, but Tech notices a heat source that is Romar's home and asks him to take them there. Intercepting the message, Wilco orders a squad to find all 50 cargo containers and the rogue clones. So this was, I mean, there's no connection with him, with Romar and anything else, right? And
No,
he's
this is
just
the
like
first time we hear about that guy, and
okay,
he's a local, so he doesn't have Dooku in his heart, obviously for
yeah,
reasons we'll explore a
yeah,
little
we
bit
find
later.
out, yeah.
But meanwhile, Hunter and Wrecker find old separatist tanks, which they hope to use to break the ranks of the troopers, blocking them from the Marauder. Arriving at Romar's home, Omega and Echo argue about going back to complete their mission and retrieve the war chest. To which Romar adds that Dooku took from his own people and that the chest should be off world as soon as possible so the Empire leaves. Echo orders Omega to keep an eye on Romar. Meanwhile, Wrecker and Hunter try to get the tanks working, but they fail. Meanwhile, the two batch members prepare to attack.
We see Romar gives Omega a kaleidoscope, which she immediately hopes is worth money. I think her little obsession with money at first was a little,
Yeah,
I guess, off-putting, but you understand, a little bit why. When it's her way, I guess, to freedom, or not freedom, but like it's almost like to give her less of a guilty conscience of the situation maybe they're in.
mhm,
Um, so Omega returns to Tech and Echo, who are still discussing the war chest. And Echo leaves to check in for patrols, and Tech helps Romar activate a data core with the Serenian archive. Omega forms a plan to go get the war chest. Wrecker and Hunter try to fix the tank as the clones attack, and Wrecker fixes a cannon on the tank and destroys the approaching V-Wing. There was a lot of vehicles and a lot of cool stuff, I think, like in this episode
yeah,
especially. So some nostalgia, I guess, involved in that one too. So that gave them the advantage, and Tech fixes the data core, and Echo returns, noticing Omega is missing. Uh, then we have the two clones set out to find her. Omega rappels down to the crashed cargo container, and Hunter and Wrecker, I'm getting a little bit ahead there, approach the Marauder as they try to blast away the clones. So, yeah, missing a screen there. There you go.
Yeah, well, the search and recovery squad scans the cargo container Omega is in. Echo reaches her just as the squad begin firing. So I like the sound of those speeder bikes because they
Yep,
were like identical to what we heard in
on
Return of
Andor.
the Jedi and
Yeah,
Mandalorian
yeah,
and Endor, and
Andor.
yeah,
Yeah,
so that was pretty cool. Um, Echo, okay, no, the fire, the fire cuts the cable, and Omega shows Echo her full pack. You know, she's really happy to say, "Hey, look, I did it! You know, I saved a part of the treasure." So uh, Tech engages some of the squad. Captain Wilco reroutes air support to where Wrecker and Hunter are retreating to. They reach the Marauder and ask for Tech's coordinates, which he sends. They encounter several V wings, but you know it's the Bad Batch. Will they survive? Um, Tech engages in a physical struggle with an ambushing clone trooper, but he wins. And then he stuns several other clones banning the guns. And this is ultimately too much, and he collapses. You know, he faints. So uh, thank God he fainted at the end because if he would have stood up, you know, normally it would have been like, man,
I guess that's their kind of like showing you, or I guess like what was bothering you, the fact that guy looks like he's got no problem fighting off a whole clone, and like these guys are essentially not trained, I guess maybe to the Bad Batches level, but they're clone troopers, and we've seen their training throughout the Clone Wars, and I find at times that even when I was watching the Bad Batch season 1, like, it's like they're getting rid of these people a little bit too easily, right? Like, and not obviously like when we saw them
mhm,
encounter the regular TKs, not the TKs as we know them in New Hope, but like the evolving TKs, like the common people that we saw in
mhm.
what was essentially replacing the clones, which were obviously not as skillful and whatnot. But when they get eliminated so easily, I'm just like I just constantly reminded of the whole training sequences that we've seen in the Clone Wars, and how it's like, wow, they're getting dusted that easily. It's a little bit funny. So um,
Yeah, well, to their defense, they're supposed to be genetically enhanced,
yeah,
so they're supposed to be superior to regular to regs, as they call them,
yeah.
regular clones. But yeah, I get your point as well.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like when you go back to fives and Rexes and all their train that we saw, right? Like those weren't superior clones, right? And they went through
Yeah,
some pretty rigorous kind of training. So it's just funny to see them just drop that easy. But I mean, again, we're nitpicking. It's a series. It's a TV series animated. We can't go too crazy with that. So Omega loses her pack in the collapse and is upset, but Echo convinces her to leave it. Uh, Romar helps Tech up, and they spot the approaching gunship. Tech takes a gun to shoot down the ship while Romar tries to pull Omega and Echo up. As debris falls, they're thrown down further, but Romar uses a stolen speeder to finally pull them back up. The Marauder arrives, making the final B Wing crash into the cliff, and the batch is finally reunited. Then Romar watches them fly away, but before that, he gives Omega the kaleidoscope that she had
she
seemed to,
forgot
yeah,
back at his place. Yeah,
yeah. So, but she seemed to really like him. And aside from what she perceived maybe as his value, she was pretty impressed with it. And I guess there was a little bit more of a sentimental value to it in the end. So,
yeah,
um,
you know, and she's learning because I guess she never had toys
yeah,
when she was young. You know, she was on Camino and was all being, about helping Lamassu with not Lamassu but Nalasé with the cloning and everything. So she was basically working and learning from her all the time, and you know, getting a toy is new for her. And even Romar tells her, it's supposed to be something you cherish and have fun with.
yeah.
So. she has to learn, how to have fun. So
Yeah, and that means to mature beyond her days. So,
yeah,
uh,
absolutely. So
so on the ship, Omega apologized to Echo for her behavior on the mission, citing her wish to only repay the squad for taking her in, which is what I was, I guess, alluding to before. Echo assured Omega that taking her in was the right choice, as otherwise would be still serving the Empire. And he says if he were to do it all over again, he would do it the same way. So, I
all
think,
right. So later, back at the Imperial shipyard, Captain Wilco reports to Admiral Rampart that his men had recovered 85% of the war chest. Rampart dismissed this and instead noticed the mention of Clone Force 99 in Wilco's report, who were confirmed dead in the bombardment of Camino. He further explained that the squad's survival would cause him to lose the favor of Tarkin and ordered Wilco to file falsified reports. Not wanting to submit falsified information, Wilco rejected Rampart's order, which is a bit surprising, but we'll talk about that little bit later. And in response, Rampart aimed a blaster at Wilco, who attempted to wrestle the weapon away before being shot and stumbling off the cliffside of the Imperial shipyard. And this is how episode 2 ends. So obviously we'll get to see some more with Rampart in the series, but yeah, that's how the season premiere ends, and I think it was a good two first episode, just to bring us back in the loop and in the action and seeing how the team has kind of evolved in some ways uh, and how they haven't evolved in some ways as well because they're still being mercenaries for Sid basically. So
yeah.
uh, it's going to be interesting to see how further they can push
Well, Sid's only there to
the
just to give plot to every episode, I guess, in the end, right? I mean, otherwise, what are they doing, right? Like, so
Mhm.
she's there to give them interesting, different plots to give story arcs and whatnot for it, whether it be the filler episodes or whatever. But when, for me, the progression of this series is really comes at the end of this episode two, when, uh, Wilco refuses to falsify the report.
Mhm.
And we had this discussion earlier. Like, is it him showing, that he's not obeying an order, or is it, is where's his allegiance, right? So is it to the Empire, or is it to Rampart? And that's, I guess, what the debate, I guess, would be, right? So did he really
Yeah,
disobey an order? Like, because it's not an order for the Empire, it's an order from Rampart, and obviously he's in to save his own skin, and that's something we see commonly throughout the Empire afterwards, right? Everyone just out for themselves. So there's no secret there, right? So
yeah. So Rampart is not the first one, and he's not the last one to
yeah,
do such things.
to look
So
out for their own backs there. So
and I found it funny because I made a little search on Google, and Wilco is a military uh, abbreviation for will comply. And I'm sure his name was, it was all intentional, but at that point, he complies to everything until that point,
yeah,
and then he refuses to comply and ends
and
up
boom, yeah, see ya.
costing his life. So uh, that's pretty interesting to see. So yeah. Well, we have a few points we want to discuss, so let's get uh, down to those points immediately. I noted that Dooku got his fortune from other system, but also from his own. So yeah, he attacked other systems. He took their resources, their money, but he gave the same treatment to people from his own planet. And it kind of reminded me uh, episode. I think it was episode 2 or 3 from the Tale of the Jedi when they go fight a corrupt senator, and well, he hates the behavior of that senator because he's corrupted and he enslaves basically his own people,
Yeah.
and he ends up doing the very same thing, as I understand it.
Yeah, and that's where some of the
And
inconsistency what I find with that show kind of like I don't know, maybe it's a timing thing or maybe it was, while he was turning because that was right before he really started turning, you started doubting him at that point, right? So,
yeah, Qui-Gon was still his Padawan at
yeah.
that time, so he was all Jedi at that point.
Yeah.
So, but
So,
once you venture to the path of the dark side, I want to sound like Yoda, but
but he had a bigger plan, probably backing up whatever, obviously his intention wasn't to die. So, who knows what he was planning? Was he planning to take
uh,
over Palpatine or something? Obviously he had bigger plans for himself, so we don't know exactly what those
yeah,
details are. So,
absolutely. So I was mentioning the Cantono when we saw the pictures of his treasures, and that's what it looks like when you pick up the credits sold at Galaxy's Edge. There are quite a few different type of credits in there. There's the long rectangle ones, or the Republic credits.
you could buy all
The
these
little
there, or it's
Yeah, you can buy all of those there. The rectangle ones, the more square ones, are the Imperial credits. The blue ones are the calamari flan, and the ones from different shapes are the New Republic credits, and there are also Mandalorian coins.
how much are
So
those? Just out of curiosity.
uh, it's a box of 4 credits,
Huh?
and it's like $35 each.
Eesh. Okay.
But it's real metal.
Yeah.
It's not plastic. It's heavy. It's quality product.
Yeah.
I've seen some credits, 3D printed credits on Etsy and stuff like that, and the quality doesn't come close
Well,
to.
I mean, yeah, and the shipping and everything, even from Etsy, is probably gonna cost you just about as much as this. So,
Yeah,
um,
yeah, true. So if you want to learn more about those credits, you can check it out on my YouTube on the channel. There's a review that I made. I think it's like this summer. So it's pretty interesting, and I go over all the I think it's 5 different type of credits. So
so there was also a couple points you brought up, and obviously the last scene with Wilco and Rampart is like where he seemed to be surprised or almost didn't want to believe that the Bad Batch was still alive. And where did he
mhm.
get that information? Because we don't see Crosshair at all in the episode, so we're only to assume that he's back with them the way it left off. But I mean,
Yeah,
is he the one that told them that they were dead? And if so, is it again like Rampart trying to save face with the Empire, or is he just trying to protect the Bad Batch? Right? I mean, he had to know that they were going to pop back up at one point, right? I mean, I would only assume
yeah.
so.
Well, if that's the case, now Rampart knows that Crosshair lied,
Yeah,
right? So it sets up for a pretty interesting, next few episodes,
yeah.
because I'm curious to see what's going to happen when they both meet again. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. And if he did lie, well, I guess it's safe to assume that he thought they died when they bombarded the city,
Yeah.
basically. So,
It
um,
just seems I don't know. It
but
seems weird to me that he would have said that because I mean, obviously knowing the Bad Batch, they were gonna pop back up. So I don't know.
mhm.
Maybe we'll see that they're gonna, they find Crosshair later, or I don't know. It just seems a little weird to me. I'm very curious about that aspect of where that storyline is going. Um,
Yeah, maybe Crosshair thought they would lay low and
yeah,
be quiet and take that opportunity, so that the Empire thinks that they're dead. And
I think he'd be smarter than that, but I mean, who knows? So another couple points you had mentioned, Omega is less of a liability now and can now stand for her own. It's something we alluded to before, where she's more of a member of the group rather
yeah,
than just like their, um, not I guess not their babysitter. They're not her babysitter, but she's slowly developing into being part of that team. Um,
absolutely, yeah. And just the way she handles her bow,
yeah,
it's it's pretty obvious that she had some training
Yeah.
while we were off. So it was cool to see, and she's getting more and more mature, and she understands stuff that maybe she did in season one. And yeah, I like the way things are going for her.
So let's go back to
And
the last Easter egg before we log off here, and that was something that I hadn't even spotted that. But again, I was kind of like watching the episode, but you definitely spotted these three things here in
yeah,
Sid's parlor.
so yeah, that's in since parlor. I'm an element collector, so when I see helmets hung on walls, it ticks me off a little bit. So the first one I saw, the one on the left, is a white Mandalorian armor helmet. Sorry about that. And I immediately think of Boba Fett's prototype helmet, uh, which has been made in their Black Series. And the second one there is a clone trooper pilot, which we briefly saw in some episodes of the Clone War. They're not the same as the one we saw in Revenge of the Sith. Those one already had like an orange visor, like the pilots of the Rebellion. And the final and third one there, uh, well, obviously it's a Phase 2 clone trooper. It looks like a regular one. I don't think there's any color accents, so it's not related to a legion in particular. See, it looks like it's gray and white. So yeah, those are the three elements we saw in that episode. And one last thing about Omega, when the container was uh, was getting attacked by the clones, Echo was with her, and during the fight she lost her backpack with all the
The
jewels
credits,
and
yeah.
the credits, yeah, and she wanted to reach out to pick it up, and Echo had to literally convince her to let it go, and she was looking down, he was looking down on her, and that scene reminded me immediately of Indiana Jones and his father Henry in the Last Crusade, when Indy was trying to reach out for the Holy Grail, and Henry was basically trying to convince his son to let it go because he was losing his grip. So, uh, well, we can also translate that to Elsa, the beautiful Nazi woman in that movie as well, who uh, you know doesn't listen to Indy and ends up
Yeah.
meeting her doom right there. So yeah, it was a nice wink. I think it was intentional. I'm not sure, but I think it was a nice wink to a good moment in the Indiana Jones first trilogy. So
Yeah. No, so I mean, overall, I mean, I like the first two episodes. I'm expecting obviously a small dose of filler episodes here and there throughout the series, but I mean, I like how the story is evolving as of so far. So I mean, that's always good. I don't know what you if you want to add anything to that or
no, I think it fitted perfectly to a re-entry for us, in the Bad Batch universe, and uh, I kind of liked how we were brought back in that universe, and it felt good. Yeah, I enjoyed my time watching the episodes, and that's all I'm looking for when I'm watching the Bad Batch. I mean, it's obviously not as deep as Endor and as serious and as Endor, but
they have to try to cater to
something light
kids
is
and adults at the same time, I guess, right? So
yeah, it's
yeah,
true.
yeah,
So I had a good time. So yeah, thumbs up for me. Um, we're gonna do podcasts on the Bad Batch every 2 weeks. So we'll cover episodes every 2 weeks. So next week we won't talk about the Bad Batch. I'm not saying that there won't be a live stream, but we'll. I think it's a good way to do things. 2 episodes at a time, and
Yeah, like we
it's
mentioned,
going
if
to
there's
be
a small filler episode, which is not so eventful sometimes, at
yeah.
least if we have two, we can probably have some more context, I guess, or content to speak about if we're getting an episode a la, kind of Clone Wars where Ahsoka's just trying to save a baby Jabba the Hutt that no one really cares
Yeah.
about, right? Some kind of thing like that. So, and again, going through season one, I did notice a couple of episodes like that where I'm just like, well, I don't know how would have done a show on just that. It
Hmm.
would have been a lot of filler. So, we can probably get creative with in between. I also have my trip that I'm a little anxious. I have a little bit of anxiety about trying to get ready for, so it'll give me a little bit of a
Yeah.
break here and there, but it's all good. So how many subscribers are we
So
at now for?
we're about 1,046,
Jeez.
if my memory is right. So yeah, things are going up. Obviously, if you enjoy your time listening to us, hit the subscribe button and the bell for further notifications. You'll get to know whenever we do another live stream or when a review comes out. Speaking of reviews, tomorrow I've made a special video. It will be a top 10 of all Black Series elements that have come out so far. Uh, I own them all, so I was able to make my review or my my selections, uh, without being held back with an element that I don't own. So there are 20 elements that have been released so far, and I've picked up the best 10, the best of the best of those elements. So if you want to know which element ranks first, well, tune in tomorrow right after lunchtime around 1:15 p.m. and you'll discover which element makes it at the top of the list.
Let's see if that video
So
smashes your latest, not the last release, I think, but the one right before the room visit there, which is
yeah, my previous two videos was the last week was the I showcased my lightsaber legacy lightsaber collection.
yeah.
I don't know if you have the image not too far, uh, but basically I own all 39 legacy lightsabers that have been released, and well, technically there's 40 of them because they released Dooku's Jedi lightsaber, but Shop Disney has yet to ship my saber, so I'm waiting on that lightsaber. But it'll get inserted in the next week's not next week but next year's compilation. So it's pretty cool. So that video features all 39 legacy lightsabers, and it also features my four Savvy's Workshop lightsaber. I have all the first versions of the Savvy's Workshop lightsaber. There are four teams, and now they have released new pieces and parts to release those to create new lightsabers. So it's pretty interesting, and I'll probably have some friends build some lightsabers for me in the future. But for now, I mean, they have yet to receive the pieces in Disney World, so it's only available in Disneyland in California. So
There you go. Was
yeah,
able to
that's it.
improvise and get it in there. So wow, that's pretty insane.
Yeah, I worked with my good friend Nico Crank. He came to my place between Christmas and the New Year, and it struck me when I saw them all on my desk because I see them every day. Sometimes you get, you don't even look at them. And when they were all put on my desk, I was like, okay, I have a lot of lightsabers.
What's the one with the orange accents on it? Forget where I
Yeah,
saw
that
that.
one is Leia Organa's
Okay, yeah.
lightsaber. So
Okay.
the one we briefly see in the Rise of Skywalker.
You got three
So
Lukes
you
in
can
there.
see.
Jeez.
Well, yeah, three look. Yeah, technically it's three look, but I mean the one on the left, it's Anakin from Return of the Jedi, and the other two graphics are Luke slash Ray from Episode 5 and 7, and the one on the right, sorry, it's the Reforged that we see in the Rise of Skywalker. So
Jeez. All
there,
right.
there are three Obi Wans up also. So yeah, lots of lightsabers.
A lot of chat about the Amazon this week. I'm sure you've seen that it started delivering the Obi Wan
Yeah,
Kenobi, and people took advantage of a $45 mistake or something that they had. It's just blowing up on the internet right now. So, but
absolutely.
good for
Yeah,
everyone who was able to take advantage of that. I wish I'd known myself. So,
yeah. I got didn't use too late, but I got my Obi Wan Legacy box set. So
yeah, you're all good.
technically, I have that version of the saber, but for $45, I would have purchased it for sure.
Yeah. So anyone who doesn't know, basically Amazon had a pricing error when they put it up for order, and basically for about I think 10 minutes or so, people were able to purchase it and secure a lightsaber for $45, and it's worth what, like 400, or what's it worth
Yeah,
retail? Yeah. So hey, good to these people. Like if they were able to get it, I mean, I think anyone would have taken advantage of it. So it's all
and then I think it was showing like it was like a Play-Doh set, and then people were not sure if they would receive Play-Doh
yeah,
or an actual lightsaber. And well, in the last few days, we saw pictures popping
yeah.
around, and they got their lightsaber for $45. It's a Force FX from Hasbro, so it's a pretty decent lightsaber, good quality. But
Yeah.
yeah, they got it for cheap, so good
Nico
for
on the
them.
chat
I'm
is
glad they got something.
saying that Kylo Ren's the best. I think it's a little bit of a biased opinion there, but I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, it is what it is. Right, Nico, we get it. What's going on with that? Do you have an update on some special event or thing that might be coming out soon, or you know where we're at?
Well, no, pretty much quiet on that front, but
Okay,
I'm gonna start filming next week reviews on the Galactic Star Cruiser product. So
okay,
uh, I already have the lightsaber, I have the shield, I have the Togura headpiece, and all sorts of cool stuff about the Star Cruiser. A good friend of mine loaned me is the maquette of the Alcyon, which is as a light-up display. So I'm gonna review that as well. So it's gonna be 4 weeks of Galactic Star Cruiser. So if you're into that kind of stuff, and if you're curious to learn more on the merchandise that is sold exclusively at the gift shop of the Alcyon, it's gonna be a good time to learn more about that because all the merch that I'll be reviewing is strictly sold. You got to pay a $6,000 cruise on the Alcyon
jeez,
to be able to purchase that. So that's a lot of money. I was fortunate to have a friend who went, and he basically said, "Well, send me your list, and I'll I'll buy for you everything you need." So I got lucky on this one, and I was able to purchase everything I wanted from that gift shop. So it's gonna be pretty cool to show you guys what nice merchandise they sell over there.
yeah, I'm curious to see what I'm gonna see. I try not to. I'm trying to stay away from a lot of this stuff. I mean, a lot of people tell me there's forums, and my wife tells me as well that the Disney there's plenty of groups you can go look at plan ahead, but I want to keep some element of surprise when I show up at Galaxy's Edge as well, right? So it's a good heads up for those credits. I think they look really cool, especially the way you had them displayed. I thought looked really cool. I'm gonna have to find something to put them in too, but I mean, we'll see what I get
Well,
away with. I mean,
you need to buy a Camtorno.
yeah, I don't know. I don't have any plans to spend much, with exception to the lightsabers and maybe a couple droids. But I mean, I think my kids are beyond the years of. I mean, who knows? Maybe they'll want Mickey ears or whatever. But I mean, I don't think that T-shirts and all that stuff. We'll probably get a very small things, but we're not planning on spending too much money. I think the money's going to be spent on, the lightning lane and stuff like that, and just trying to make
Yeah.
sure that we're living the experience. But on that note, we're already 10 minutes above, and it was funny. We were just talking about how we weren't sure we're going to fill the whole hour,
Yeah.
but let's, if you want to wrap this up, if you have any final words.
Well, I don't know. Just thanking you guys for sticking with us until the end, and we'll see you uh, at the very worst case in 2 weeks. But I think we're gonna do another live stream next Thursday. It's just not gonna be about the episode of the Bad Batch, but perhaps we can squeeze like a I don't know a gaming stream, something like that. Maybe we could start playing Jedi Fallen Order before the sequel
The
comes
new one,
out.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's a
so
good idea.
I don't know. We'll try to join you guys next Thursday, and if we're not, well, it's gonna be in 2 weeks. So it's gonna be on January 19th. So hope you guys have a great day. For Eric, I'm Dominic. Thank you for being here. Have a good night, my friends.
Bye.
Remember, the Force will be with you, always.